Welcome to Mission Majjhima. Ajahn.
Ajahn.
So Ajahn, tell us about Majjhima Nikaya 67, the Cātumā Sutta.
So in this discourse taught at Cātumā, we find Sariputta and Moggallana, the right hand and left hand senior disciples of the Buddha. Sariputta foremost in wisdom, Mahamoggallana foremost in psychic powers, come with a great sangha of bhikkhus, 500 monks, and they come to this monastery where the Buddha is, and they're making a lot of noise, getting all their bedding and everything together. And the Buddha looks over and Ananda says, what is this? What is this great noise? It's as if they were fishermen hawking fish, so making a lot of noise. He says, tell those monks to come here. Then they come and admit that they were making a lot of noise, and the Buddha then dismisses them, tells them that they should not stay there because of their loud noise. Then they leave and they go into Sakyan country, and the Sakyans ask them why they had left, and they report the whole story. And then the Sakyans really feel a lot of sympathy for these monks, these disciples of Sariputta Moggallana, and then make an entreaty on their behalf to the Buddha, giving these kind of beautiful similes of, it's just as these monks are as if seedlings who do not get enough water. So too, these are young monks who will wither away and die without the water, the sweet love of the Buddha, the care and compassion of the Buddha, or like a calf without its mother. So too, these junior young monastics will starve and pine away without the Buddha as their mother, their teacher, their nurturer. And then furthermore, Brahma Sahampati, the same Brahma god from the Brahma realms, who requested that the Buddha teach his teaching originally after he attained enlightenment and then was disinclined to teach. The same Brahma god comes down and makes an entreaty on behalf of these monks that the Buddha please teach these monks. So based on these similes of the seedling, the dry seedling, and the lost calf without its mother, the Buddha decides to teach him. They come back, and the Buddha actually calls up Sariputta and Moggallana and says, what were you thinking once these monks left? And Sariputta says, well, I was thinking that the Buddha was inclining towards seclusion, and that we too would incline towards seclusion and practice in solitude. And the Buddha asks Mahamoggallana what he was thinking when the Buddha sent them away, and Mahamoggallana says, yes, I was thinking that the Buddha was inclining towards seclusion, but that not that we should resort to seclusion, but that we, i.e. himself, Mahamoggallana and Sariputta, should continue instructing and teaching, training the younger monks. And the Buddha praises Mahamoggallana and actually censures Sariputta for not taking up what turned out to be this, his responsibility, the implied responsibility. So the Buddha then teaches these 4 dangers in 4 similes. So you have dangers from waves, which is equated with the danger of anger and irritation. You have the danger of crocodiles, which is the danger from gluttony or being desirous of food. The danger of whirlpools, which is equated to the danger that can come from desire for the 5 chords of sensuality, and the danger of sharks, which the Buddha equated with sensual sexual desire, or for these heterosexual male monks, it's the danger from women. And almost certainly if he was teaching bhikkhunis, the shark danger would be for men as well. They're definitely sharks of men. So that's the sutta. So Ajahn, what would you like to draw out of this sutta?
First, just those 4 dangers you just named are so good. We were going over the images a few times before this, and they're just real dangers you encounter. And, to begin from the reverse from the end going backwards, the danger of sharks and sexual desire, lust. I think there's a story of Joseph Goldstein's teacher saying lust cracks the brain. But it also does highlight, as you noted, this discrepancy where most of the suttas are given to bhikkhus. We don't have nearly the number that were given to bhikkhunis, and it just leads to an imbalance in what people read in the discourses. And, you and I, being men, being bhikkhus, can relate very much to the language, but just, some spaciousness for those who have to encounter these texts and translate all these words But often when the Buddha was speaking to bhikkhus, he was including all those gathered, and sometimes there was bhikkhunis gathered and laymen and laywomen as well. And then the danger of whirlpools, just sensuality, crocodiles, gluttony, which really is an issue. And the Buddha points out measured eating quite a lot in his teaching. Venerable Sariputta, in one of his verses in the Theravada, the verses of the elder monks, says one should stop eating about 4 or 5 mouthfuls before one is full and fill up on water. It's just a very practical instruction. And waves, the impact of being admonished when before you were high and mighty, and suddenly all these uppity monks are telling you what to do. It's a very common thing to see in monasteries. And a huge portion of this path is humility and being able to take feedback. And I've seen so often people have great learning, maybe quite good meditation, but that lack of humility, that puff upness is very discernible and can be a huge block. So just to note that. I also think it points, moving back to the beginning, to just this interesting fact that the Buddha, first, he's very fierce, sending all those monks away like, fishermen hawking their fish. But that often, getting direct admonition from a teacher is a sign of true care, that they care enough about you to really push you. There's Sutta Majjhima Nikaya 122, the Mahasunyata Sutta, where the Buddha says to Venerable Ananda, his beloved assistant, Venerable Ananda, I shall not treat you like the potter treats the wet clay, repeatedly admonishing you, Venerable Ananda, repeatedly restraining you, I shall train you. The sound core will stand the test. So kind of amazing. And, perhaps him sending them away was really a teaching to them as well. It also shows that the lay people have a place in speaking to the Sangha and the monks, and sometimes, taking action to redirect how the Sangha is acting. In this case, they are the bridge of sympathy and empathy, or of getting those monks to come back. And then there's also this very important fact that arahants, Venerable Sariputta, make mistakes. The foremost in wisdom, they're not infallible in a worldly sense. He also just wanted to go off in seclusion, and the Buddha said that actually was a bad decision. And there's other situations where there's one rule where an arahant was meditating. One of the few Vinaya rules created after an arahant transgresses was an arahant sitting alone, meditating, eating just a teeny bit of rice, but storing food. And the Buddha saw that for the sake of the wider sasana, the wider dispensation, not going on alms round was a bad thing, and he admonished that monk. So sometimes we may encounter great teachers who might be enlightened, but it doesn't mean that they can't make mistakes. And that's quite a lesson to take from this. Ajahn, what else did you draw out?
Another phrase we find sometimes in the suttas is with regards to other wanderers of other sects, observing about the Bhikkhu Sangha, the Buddha's disciple, that they like quiet, they are disciplined in quiet, they commend the quiet. So this is just a general characteristic that we really do. We do have some of our training rules. One or two of the 227 main rules is about, one of them is not laughing loudly in public places, and another one is just going about quietly, apasado, which you find the opposite of mahasada, with a lot of sound, being noisy, versus going about quietly, because these venerable ones like quiet, are disciplined in quiet, commend quiet. Also, just to draw out those last two similes of the whirlpools and the sharks, how those are framed is that a monastic goes into a village or a town for their alms, and with their body unrestrained, or their body unguarded, their speech unguarded, their mindfulness unestablished, and their sense faculties unrestrained. So we do actually have quite a few of our monastic rules, both bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, about when we can go into town and the extent that we can go into town. We aren't supposed to just hang around in town after our alms round. We aren't supposed to go too early. We're not supposed to go at the wrong time without telling another monastic. And we are supposed to go around through town with our eyes downcast, with senses restrained, well restrained. So those are just the institutional rules which keep us in line, or else we see a householder endowed with the 5 chords of sensual pleasures and think, oh God, I want some of that. Or see an attractive person scantily clad, wearing few clothes, little clothes, and we become sensually, sexually enticed. So it causes a lot of disrobals and a lot of disruption in a monastic's life when we're really trying to realize, as we talked about in the last sutta, the pleasure, the bliss which comes from renunciation, the bliss of seclusion, the bliss of peace, the bliss of enlightenment.
It's a Shark Tank out there, Ajahn.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're sharks as well. We try not to be.
Try not to be.
Try not to be, yeah.
What is the word of the week, Ajahn?
The word of the week is Dhamma Vinaya, which is what the Buddha called his teaching overall. So it's a compound of Dhamma and Vinaya. And there are many different meanings of Dhamma. We have meanings which, are with like a capital D, DH, which we find in this instance. So meaning of just a teaching or a discourse, the truth in general, or the religion. But also Dhamma with a lowercase d can mean nature, quality, mental phenomenon, mental states, things, virtue, of a nature, act or practice, duty, obligation, etc. And Vinaya has several meanings as well. Just the monastic discipline, the monastic law. It can just mean removal. So literally, ni means to carry away. And it's that which carries away our defilements, or that which brings us along to enlightenment. So
sadhu for that word.
Dhamma Vinaya.
Good word of the week.